Okay, we are here. We're starting this. If you are here for the first time, welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay. And if you're back, thank you for coming back to the show, to the program, to the live, whatever you want to call it. FIBA AmeriCup just wrapped up, and it was a very, very fun tournament. Brazil just celebrated, won their fifth gold medal, their first since 2009, and their third since 2005. So Brazil, for a lot of people who don't know this, because there's been a lot of back and forth in the comments about it was just comments in general under like FIBA's posts about Team USA losing to Brazil and people from America. I'm from New York, being like, hey, America didn't send their best. And what I've been trying to tell people is it doesn't matter, because the whole point of being the best is you're supposed to have depth and be able to beat anybody. And regardless of who's out there, you shouldn't be giving up a 34-9 lead or 34-9 run rather toward the end, but we'll get to that. But first, Brazil, the betting favorites ahead of this tournament, minus 250 or plus 250 rather, plus 250, plus 300 at time, before this started, they were the favorites to win the entire thing. And ultimately, they got it done. It looked like Team USA was going to take them out at some point, but that didn't happen. And right now, where we're at is the Brazilian national team is champion of the Americas. Argentina actually beat them last time in the final. So in 2022, when this happened, Argentina beat them, got gold. That was a little more expected. Argentina hasn't had the same run of success lately as they've typically had internationally. And in these FIBA AmeriCup or America competitions, Argentina, for example, didn't make the last Olympics. They typically do make it to the Olympics. Didn't make the last World Cup even. In 2023, they'll look to qualify for the next World Cup. And nobody sent like far and away their absolute best guys. Like Brazil, even after making the Olympics last year, were missing a few guys on their roster. Who made the Olympic team. So like everybody was shorthanded. You could argue Team USA and Canada, like because they have the most talent, they were the most shorthanded, but I'm not gonna be here and be like, oh, okay, like this doesn't matter because Team USA and Canada didn't send like real NBA players. No, send NBA players. Like that's the point. Send NBA players. Coach K, for example, had Kobe Bryant playing in the AmeriCup in 2007 against the Virgin Islands and shit. Send your best. Like if you don't want to look stupid, send your best. So shout out to Brazil for getting it done. The gold medal game was a defensive showdown. Let's get to it. Let's pull up some numbers. We have a bunch to get to, but first off, let's actually start with the gold medal game. So here we have, let's actually alter this on the screen a little bit. I'm going to play around with this, get this right. Okay, here we go. We can fix the size on that a little bit more. I think this is okay. Yeah, I think this is okay. Okay. Brazil beats Argentina in a slugfest 55-47. It was a lot more entertaining than that, I promise. If you did not watch the game for whatever reason. Let's look at the box score. As a matter of fact, let's look quarter by quarter. Argentina gets 9 points in the second quarter. 11 in the fourth. It was just a slugfest, and it came down to just shot making when it mattered. The defense was there for both teams all game. The thing I love about the way Brazil plays, because I just love the way Brazil plays. They're so tough, regardless of who's out there. But especially when you have Iago Santos, Bruno Caboclo out there. More on Iago, especially later on. But there's plenty to talk about with him. Brazil in this game. So Iago Santos gets 14 points. He makes 5 of 15 shots. I know people will probably look at the efficiency and be like, hey, is he really all that? Because he's like 5'8", 5'9". Iago Santos is a monster. He was playing professionally in EuroLeague in Serbia. He is not going to be this year. As of just a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. More on that later, but he gets 14 points, big points, some shots, shot making down the stretch. He's been really key in fourth quarters in particular because he could create his own shot. It's not just his speed at his size, but it's also just the shot making ability. Um, the 3 points, the 3 pointers in very tight situations, like being able to create that separation from the defense. There's a finishing ability there that I think was actually better than maybe people would have anticipated at times. And then you obviously have the playmaking ability, which I feel like if you look at the potential assists that he probably should have had, there probably should have been more, but he should have had more assists is what I meant to say. But he definitely, like, in terms of just creating for others. I mean, you see it here, 5 assists to 0 turnovers. He could have had so many more, especially because he was setting up shooters, but Brazil only shot 9 of 35 from three. Not a great 3-point shooting performance from anybody, quite frankly, in this game, at all. For the most part, 9 of 35, which is basically 26% from three. Not ideal. You won't win a lot of games that way. You will, though, if you defend your ass off, and they did at least that. Bruno Caboclo, who I just mentioned, and he got some love for his performance in this tournament. 11 points in very key ones as well. He had a tough time sort of getting to his spots and creating early on, but he was able to make it work there. And then just the rebounding, 38 boards as a whole. Argentina gets 53, but they're not able to take advantage of these. Like, they're not able to take advantage of the second chance opportunities. It's 17 offensive rebounds, but they shot 30% for the game. It's not something that Argentina is going to do a ton. I know it's been rough for them lately, but the silver medal is actually a positive here, considering that on paper they weren't really the best, or the second best team, rather, coming into this tournament. Brazil was the favorite, then Canada, then USA in the odds, and then Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was the only of the top four that didn't make it to the semifinal round, although they were in overtime with Argentina when Jose Alvarado had to be carried out on a stretcher because he fell on his back. Very, very hard. Don't know to what extent that tailbone injury is going to be. We'll see. But training camp is in a month, and that absolutely altered overtime. Argentina was up by 2 with 3 minutes left or 2 minutes left, something along those lines. And it ultimately, we don't know what would have happened at that point. I'm not going to say Puerto Rico absolutely would have won, because they probably shouldn't have been in overtime to begin with, and Argentina came back. But for Argentina to still get the silver medal, I mean, they earned it by beating the shit out of Canada in the semifinals. Canada was getting blown out, and Argentina beats them by 10 points. But Canada had like one of the fake comebacks at the end. Argentina was really whooping on them bad before that, bad. And then in the fourth quarter, Canada just made up some ground, but it didn't matter at that point. Argentina was so much better in that game, so they earned it. But shot 30% in this game from the field, from three. We talked about Brazil being 9 of 35. Argentina was 4 of 27. So you're talking about a point differential just on 3-pointers alone. You're talking about 15 more points from threes for Brazil, who wins by 8. That matters. And also the attempts. They're getting the attempts up there. 35 to 27. Argentina makes 15% from three in this game. Only made 4 threes in totality. And you had Nicolas Brusino, Gonzalo Corbalan, and Jose Vildosa combining 4 of 20 from three. It's not going to get it done. That, I think, is actually 20% flat as well. So there's that. I think with Argentina, it's also tough when Francisco Cafaro is the only guy you have breaking double figures. But I think with Argentina, like, it's just missed opportunities in this game. 15 turnovers didn't help either, so that'll offset some of the great offensive rebounding you do. But 17 offensive rebounds, and you can't get it done like that. That's just something that, it'll be looked at, obviously, when we talk about what's next after this, because the tournament's over, but basketball never stops. And then with Brazil here's another key thing: 6 turnovers, highlighted at the bottom of the screen there. 6 turnovers, and you force 15. 2 thumbs up. That's great stuff. So Brazil wins the gold medal. Their first, as I mentioned, in a while. Let's get to the bronze medal game. We'll go back to we'll talk about Brazil again. We'll talk about Argentina again. But let's get to the bronze medal game real quick, because after this, we're gonna again recap, sort of, because I did this last time, but and not that many people are watching this. Let's be serious. So we're obviously like, if we can recap again, like what happened, how we sort of got to this point in the tournament, and then talk about what's next, because I think that's really the key thing to end off with here. Because again, there is more basketball to be played, even if it's not in the AmeriCup specifically. But there's going to be more even this year. So Canada and Team USA. 90-85, USA wins. It looked like it was going to be a little bit more than that. They were breaking away down the stretch. Canada made some shots late. It was kind of fake comeback-ish. I mean, they were trying to, obviously, but it didn't really feel threatening, to be honest with you. Bell-haynes could have been more of a factor, really, in this tournament overall, but especially in this game, especially as one of the only guys, or really the only guy on this team who played on the World Cup bronze medal winning team 2 years ago. Granted, he didn't get a ton of playing time, but he was on that roster regardless. Bell-haynes wasn't too big of a factor. Mfiondu Kabengele, he was pretty good this tournament, but Kaishan George was really the guy. Washington Wizard, Leonard Miller from the Timberwolves, he showed out a little bit as well. Felt like he could have struggled less, but with Canada, didn't quite pull it all the way together, especially from a defensive standpoint. I thought the defense would be better, but guys were just getting, like, other teams. This happened with Argentina. This happened with Team USA today. And Puerto Rico at times too, although they were able to overcome that defensively, and they had some size advantages at certain positions that made it better for them to navigate through. But with Canada, they could have done a better job at just, in general, stopping other teams from getting to their spots very easily, getting the shots they wanted. Like, it felt like other teams were just like, hey, if you want to just swing the ball a couple times, we can get this 3-point shot against this defense. And that shouldn't be the case with the athleticism that Canada had. So it felt like they could have done a better job in that regard. The rebounds here were interesting too, 38 for Canada. And then you go over to Team USA, just 28. So both instances, in the gold medal game and in the bronze medal game, where the team that gets out rebounded by 10 rebounds plus still wins. Why? Well, Team USA is 44% from three, 12 of 27, and Canada is 3 for 17. So in terms of point differential from three, because we did this with Brazil and Argentina, 27-12, Canada gets 9 points from their 3-point shots in this game, with 3 3-pointers made, and only attempting 17, which is not a lot. Against a team that wants to get out and run, play fast, jack up threes. 3 for 17, you're 18%. Team USA, 12 of 27. You're generating 36 points from beyond the arc, and you're hitting a lot more than double of your opponent in terms of percentage. 12 of 27, so 36 points to 9 just from three. And then the turnovers, 10 by Team USA, 14 by Canada. So Canada's also turning the ball over 4 more times than their opponent. So just not great in terms of the bronze medal game. For Canada, they don't medal. In this instance, Team USA also beat them in the last bronze medal game that these two had in the AmeriCup specifically. Canada got them in the World Cup, which mattered more because Canada had more of their guys. Team USA had not their A squad, but I wouldn't call it a C squad necessarily. I would say B. If you want to say C, okay, I guess. But Canada, I mean, while they had Shea, they didn't have like Jamal Murray, and there were a couple other guys. Like, if Canada has a true A squad, Bell-haynes, all due respect, is not going to be on it. So Canada probably had a B squad as well. Team USA wins the bronze this time, 90-85. They also win the bronze before that in 2022 in the AmeriCup, 84-80. A brief recap of the tournament in totality and how Brazil got it done, because Brazil are the champions of the Americas this time around in group play. It started here. Brazil, listen, there was a world where a rematch could have happened in the final, but because the way the brackets broke, we got it in the semifinal. As a matter of fact, we're going to get to that very shortly. So here you have group play. It got a little confusing for some people, perhaps. Team USA beats the Bahamas in overtime. Brazil handles Uruguay, handles Bahamas. Well, Uruguay, to be fair, they made it a game. And Santiago Vescovi Man, I really liked him at Tennessee. I said it before this tournament. He had some really good moments in this tournament. I'm excited to see him play in Europe this upcoming season. In Spain, more specifically. Brazil beats up the Bahamas, who I thought was a little bit disappointing in this tournament. Granted, they didn't have their A guys, but still, I think they've had more depth now that they've come along a little bit, and we'll see if they can qualify for the World Cup for the first time. More on that in a little bit. Uruguay upsets Team USA, which Santiago Vescovi, 24 points. Salute to him. Great performance. Langston Galloway also here with 25. Uruguay beats the Bahamas, and Team USA beats up on Brazil. I saw some people on social media accusing Brazil of a kind of tanking at the end of that game just for matchup purposes, but I don't see that necessarily. Fundamentally, it doesn't matter. There's only but so much avoiding you could do in a 12-team tournament when the bracket gets cut from 12 to 8 when you get to the group stage, or when you get out of the group stage and into the knockout stage. Group B, Canada, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Panama went exactly as I pretty much thought it would. I thought between PR and Canada, the winner of that would, be the group winner, because I felt like they would handle Venezuela and Panama, and they did. They both beat the other. Puerto Rico and Canada beat Panama and Venezuela, each by 34. Venezuela loses to PR by 27. Canada beats up on Panama by 50. Then Venezuela barely beats Panama. A little surprising. I thought Venezuela would have a not an easier time, but I thought they'd win that game a little more smoothly. It got bumpy for them. And then PR beats Canada, or loses to Canada 82-73. The game was closer than that in watching it. It was like a one possession game very late into that contest. Canada just made some shots, pulled away. Group C, Dominican Republic, Argentina, Colombia, and Nicaragua. Argentina and DR, they have the fight. They have the fight. We talked about that last time. And I think in this one, shout out to Eric for checking in. Appreciate the sub. And if anybody else has comments, questions about anything in particular as it relates to this AmeriCup, please feel free. But always welcome when people just sort of get in here from just random places, because this channel admittedly can get kind of random at times. DR, Colombia, Argentina, Nicaragua, they have the brawl. DR and Argentina do in the group play, and then Colombia beats Nicaragua, the hosts, who don't get a win but come very close on a couple different occasions. I thought Colombia would have been the one to get. Norchad Omier had a 30-20 game, and then Argentina barely beats Colombia because they have suspensions that they're dealing with. DR barely beats Nicaragua because they have suspensions that they're dealing with stemming from the fight. And then we get the ranking of group place teams, third place teams in the group here. So this is how the bracket looks now that it's all done. Canada, Argentina, Brazil, United States win in the quarterfinals. The only upset there, betting wise, was PR and Argentina. And look, even though I'm Puerto Rican, even though I rep my people, I said here they had the best chance of being upset in the quarterfinals out of all the favorites. Not because they were favored by the least amount of points, although it was by like 1 point. But it was because Argentina, of all the quote-unquote B-sides, was the stiffest competition, especially in terms of matchup. DR would have been the other one against Brazil, but they didn't have David Jones because of the suspension, who was their best player in the first 2 games that he played in the tournament, averaging north of 20 points. And Jose Alvarado gets hurt, and that changes the game in overtime. Like any chance PR had after that, not any chance. I may be overstating it a little bit, but Jose Alvarado getting injured definitely, like that takes a lot out when the guy who has 25 points and is creating shots and nearly hit the game winner in regulation, cracked somebody's ankles, broke his ankles, step back 3, didn't make it, didn't need a 3 in that spot, but he created a wide open look. So it was a good shot. Just missed it, just barely missed it. And then we could have been talking about something completely different, because maybe we would have gotten Brazil versus PR. Brazil would have been favored in that game still. Canada, Argentina, Brazil, United States. We already rehashed this to some extent, but let's get into this a little bit more. Brazil and the United States. So The United States was winning this game like they were controlling it the whole time. The whole time. And then the fourth quarter happens. You see it here. Brazil outscores Team USA 34-9 in the fourth quarter. I don't care if Team USA doesn't have their guys. If Brazil has all their guys, they don't. People don't know that. They don't. Literally 4 players who were on the Olympic roster, including Raul Neto, former NBA player, not on the team. They don't have all their guys. I don't care who's on the court. If you're up by 10 heading into the fourth quarter, you can't allow a 34-9 run to the other team. I don't care who's on the court. I don't give a shit who's there. I don't care that it was Langston Galloway and Javonte Smart and Jack Cooley and Rod Baker. What are we talking about? Steven Silas coaching. Like 34-9? Brazil earned that. Iago dos Santos, by the way, 25 points, 12 assists. Just light work. And then we talked about the final. So here's how the standings end up. Brazil 1, Argentina 2. Now, back in the day, Brazil and Argentina would have just outright made the Olympics. And then the next set of teams, 3 or 4, would have qualified for 3 or 4 would have qualified for Olympic qualifying tournaments. If that was still the case, you probably would have got more of the guys showing up. Now it's a little bit more standalone. So is what it is from that regard. By the way, because I might as well mention this part of it. Here's the FIBA AmeriCup All-Star 5. I have a little indigestion. I just ate and then just ran up here. So I've been low-key holding back burps the entire episode, and I just let one rip there if you're watching. FIBA AmeriCup All-Star 5. Kaishan George from Canada. Wizards stand-up. Javonte Smart, Team USA, Heat stand-up, I suppose. Bruno Caboclo, Brazil. Juan Fernandez, Argentina. And your MVP of the tournament, this man right here. 5'9", Iago dos Santos. By the way, a free agent. So I was under the impression, not under the impression, he was under contract. He was under contract in Serbia. He's been playing in EuroLeague there, and he's been playing for Red Star. And he's not going to be back there. Pretty meaningful, especially this late into the summer. So wonder how that's going to officially go. They announced that he's not going to be back. Red Star did. EuroLeague, obviously the best league in the world outside of the NBA. And I think even, let me not go there. But I think I love watching it for a number of different reasons. And with Iago dos Santos not playing in Serbia this upcoming season, I do wonder, like he's clearly, I mean, he demonstrated in his tournament again. I wonder what the move is. Like, he's a free agent winning MVP. That doesn't happen very often, especially again this late into the summer. So I wonder if he's going to go to a different EuroLeague team. Is he going to go try his hand somewhere else? Is he going to go back home? He's going to try Australia, the NBL, the G League, maybe. You know what I mean? Is somebody signing him to a two-way in Exhibit 10? Like, I do wonder legitimately if you're, and this is a year after a reported contract extension that was going to take him through 2027. If you're not going back, I do wonder what Iago Santos's next move is going to be. But they had some other departures this year that were notable. And they do have some signings. Now, positionally, this doesn't make sense, given that Devontae Graham, former NBA player, Charlotte Hornets, San Antonio Spurs, New Orleans Pelicans, Semi Ojeleye, former Celtic, Jaciel Rivero, the pride of Cuban basketball. Jordan Nwora, former Milwaukee Buck. Chima Monike, formerly of the Orlando Magic. Like, you're bringing in a lot of former NBA talent. So I do wonder if Iago Santos maybe saw, hey, I'm probably not going to play that much, or I can go somewhere else or whatever. But I hope that an NBA team gives him a look. You know, if Yuki got one from the Japanese national team at 5'7", all due respect, Yuki Kawamura, I would love to see Iago Santos get a potential Exhibit 10 two-way contract type of deal. You know what I mean? He's not old. He's been around, but he's 26 years old right now. He'll be 27 in March. So he's played for Flamengo, because, you know, if you're from Brazil, why wouldn't you play for Flamengo? And then before that, before his stop in Serbia, he was in Germany. You know, so I do wonder what this is going to be like moving forward for him. But he's one of the best Brazilian basketball players in the world right now. He's awesome. So we'll see what happens. He was MVP of the AmeriCup, and I think he is absolutely just a joy to watch. One of my favorite basketball players on the planet who is not in the NBA. And maybe the who is not in the NBA part doesn't need to be lumped into that. He's that good. So that's the AmeriCup. Now for what's next, because I promised we would talk about what's next. And what's next is FIBA World Cup qualifiers. They already start in November. We're here, folks. We're just about here. The FIBA I keep doing that. The FIBA World Cup qualifiers. So, and also what's next is, Eurobasket's still going on every day until September 14th. So we're not going to get a champion for Eurobasket for another 2 weeks. So we'll be on that in this channel. Next Eurobasket stream actually should be Thursday. Should be Thursday before the knockout stage begins, after group play ends. I just don't want to go up against Cowboys Eagles. I already don't have people watching this channel like that. So like, I don't want to, you know, hurt it even more by going up against the NFL. That'd be stupid. Plus, I got fantasy implications in that game. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to. I got Brandon Aubrey in one league, CeeDee Lamb in another. Hopefully, we'll see how the draft goes tomorrow. World Cup qualifiers begin. They already the pre-World Cup qualifiers began, but the real thing, the real shit, starts November. So we'll get through it. We'll look at it right now. Group A for those World Cup qualifiers for 2027. Next World Cup is in 2027. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, because money. Team USA, Canada. Team USA, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Nicaragua. That's Group A. Don't expect Nicaragua to move on. All due respect. If Norchad Omier is there, though, and Mexico doesn't bring enough of their guys, then they can catch Mexico slipping. But these games begin. So the way it works is this: it's 12 games to qualify for the World Cup. There's 16 teams competing in the Americas, because it's 4 groups of 4. The top 7 will eventually advance to the World Cup. But not everyone gets to play all 12 qualifier games, because you go from 6 games, because you got to play 2 in November, or I guess November, December, but just easier to do it this way. 2 in November, 2 in February, 2 in July. And then after that, so that's going into 2026. And after that, it's August, you play 2 more in 2026. November, you play 2 more. And then February, and then we have our field. In each group, because it's 4 groups of 4, the last place team for the first 6 games, the last place teams get eliminated. So, for example, USA, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Nicaragua. Let's say it goes exactly this way, because chances are this is what you would expect. USA first, DR second, Mexico third, Nicaragua fourth. All due respect. Again, North Shadow Mirror. Like we'll see. Upsets happen, things happen. It could be shocking. But if this happens here, Nicaragua's out, and then the top 3 teams here, USA, DR, Mexico, go to play the top 3 teams from Group B, which in all likelihood could look like this as well in some order. Puerto Rico, Canada, Bahamas. And then you have Jamaica. Jamaica's last here. Jamaica just qualified to get here. They had Norman Powell and everyone else who allegedly wants to play for Jamaica, like the Thompson twins and all these NBA players. They're not going to be available in November, December. They're not going to be available in February, March. They could be available in July, but by then, Jamaica will need to have beaten at least one of these other, need to have won at least one of these other games to have a chance. Puerto Rico, look, a lot of their guys play in the BSN, and a lot of them play overseas as well, but like they'll come over. Not everybody, but they'll come over. Canada, they have depth. The Bahamas, they're building more depth. So then what would happen is you'll have USA, DR, Mexico, top 3 teams from Group A, PR, Canada, Bahamas, top 3 teams from Group B, and they'll form a bigger group for the last 6 games that begin next August, November, February, going back to that. And then from there, the top 3 teams will automatically advance to the World Cup. The 4th place team, it depends on how they stack up against the other 4th place team. So Group C, I hope you follow this. If not, comment, let me know if you're watching this now or if you watch this later. Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, Chile. That's a cupcake-ass group for Brazil. I ain't going to. I'm not going to lie. That is, come on, man. What? This is like damn near, not this. Yeah, this is like damn near group of death status. Group B. Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, Chile. Okay. One of Colombia and Chile will move on, I guess. Brazil, Venezuela. Definitely will. I'd be stunned if they don't. And then Group D, you have Argentina. You expect them to move on. Uruguay, Panama, Cuba. Hey, man. I expect Argentina and Uruguay to be there, but Panama, Cuba, we'll see. But regardless, same thing here. And then here's what I was talking about before. So, they're a cross matchup. Okay. So strike what I said about A and B. Well, what happened is, here's what happened. Team USA, DR, Mexico from Group A, they'll combine with Group C's group. Oh, that makes it so easy for the Group A teams. Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, and then Group D, Argentina, Uruguay, and we'll call it Panama for now. And then they'll be there with PR, Canada, and the Bahamas. So Group A and Group B are a lot better than C and D, in my opinion, in totality. So that means they're going to have tough games up front. And then on the back end, Canada, for example, would see Argentina, Uruguay, and Panama all winnable. Same thing with PR, same thing with the Bahamas. The Bahamas beat Argentina last year in Argentina twice. So you will have the top 3 teams advance from that group at the end. So when you have 12 games at the very end of this done, top 3 from the combined A and C group, which becomes Group E, and the same thing with the combined B and D group, which becomes Group F. So of the 16 teams, 7 advance. You have to have a top 3 record in the group in the final of the 12 after the 12 games are done. And then 4th place team, best of each group. They get compared, and then the best 4th place team moves on. So as a reference, this is how it worked in 2023. Let's pull this up. This may have been an easier way to explain it. Group A was Venezuela, Argentina, Panama. Paraguay was here. Paraguay got smacked up. They qualified for the right to qualify. It didn't work out for them. That's fine. Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, Chile. Colombia and Chile, huh? Again. They move on. Group C, no surprises. Canada, Dominican Republic, Bahamas, Virgin Islands. They all took turns beating up on the Virgin Islands. Nobody could beat Canada. And then DR beats Bahamas twice, and that's your group. And then Group D, Team USA, who loses 1 game here to Mexico. Mexico, Puerto Rico, Cuba. It's late, guys. It's like 11 p.m. over here on the East Coast. So the combined groups here, Group E. So this is Group A and Group C. You have Canada, DR, Venezuela, Argentina, Panama, the Bahamas. And the reason why Argentina didn't move on is because point differential favored Venezuela. They were both tied 8-4 records, and the Bahamas beat them at the end. Argentina needed to beat the Bahamas to advance, and they ultimately didn't get it done. Canada was 11-1. The Dominican Republic was 9-3. The Dominican Republic beat Argentina. Yeah. That's the yeah. Dominican Republic beat Argentina. And the Bahamian national team knocked Argentina out of the Olympic qualifying. No, the pre-Olympic qualifying, whatever that was for the Olympics. Now I'm getting all the tournaments mixed up. Regardless, Group E, you have Canada, DR, Venezuela, Argentina, Panama, the Bahamas. So Argentina's here. They're out. Brazil also has a much better point differential. Mexico, Puerto Rico, the United States all move on here. Team USA, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia. Uruguay, Colombia, as expected, last two teams. Brazil matches up with Argentina as the best fourth place team, and then Argentina's out. So we'll see how it goes for the 2027 version of this. But the point is, Olympic qualifiers start in November. That's how it works. Oh, my goodness. I am not in mid-season mode right now. But it was fun. The AmeriCup was fun. One trend that's been going on with the Continental Cups is that all the favorites have been winning their tournaments. The favorite for the AfroBasket tournament was Angola, tied with South Sudan. South Sudan vastly underperformed, couldn't even get to a medal game. Angola was tied with them for shortest odds of winning the tournament. Angola ends up winning. They were home, too, the only home team to win so far. Australia was even money to win Asia Basket or the Asia Cup. They win their tournament with China in the final. China within a point in the gold medal game. Australia beats them. Australia wins. No surprises there. It got close. It got dicey, but they ended up winning in that tournament. And then in this tournament, Brazil was the favorite narrowly, but they got it done. Eurobasket, we'll see. Serbia was the favorite. Serbia was like even money, close to it. But their second best player is out with a hamstring rupture. Bogdan Bogdanovic. Lots going to be put on Nikola Jovic, Vasily Micic, Marko Guduric. It'll be interesting to see how Serbia navigates that one, but they're the favorites. Otherwise, for the Americas, for AfroBasket teams in Africa, African regions, and then obviously in Asia, Olympic qualifying, or again, damn it, World Cup qualifying will start later this year in the fall in November. We'll be back with Eurobasket and Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, because that is in less than 2 weeks now. I've already posted who I think is going to win this fight, but I'll get more into it very, very soon, probably after that Eurobasket show. Any requests, let me know. Thank you for watching, as always. And if you see this later, drop a comment. Just don't be a dick. That's all I got. Join the Discord also. I believe I linked it this time. Did I do it? Did I do it on time? Did I do it? Yes, the Discord is there. Join the Discord, and don't be shy, because some people in the Discord are. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the tournament.